Thank you. All right, folks, welcome to Wednesday, June 29th, Braintree Town Council Special Committee on the Opioid Epidemic. Everyone please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our men and women in uniform protecting our nation. Please remain standing for all of those that we have lost to this deadly epidemic. Thank you. Please be seated. And Ms. Semino, if you could do the roll call.
Braintree Town Council Special Committee on the Opioid Epidemic, meeting of Wednesday, June 29, 2016. Councillor Kokoris?
Here.
Councillor Clifford?
Here.
Councillor Hume?
Here.
Councillor Owens?
Here.
Councillor Powers?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have approval of minutes. We have May 23rd, June 1st, and June 6th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been seconded. Any adjustments or amendments or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Why don't we start off with Councilor Hume? Announcements?
Thank you, Mr. President. As we state at every meeting, the state came out with a program, the State Without Stigma, and all of our committee members, as well as many people in Braintree, are taking the pledge to end the stigma of addiction. It's the state's greatest public health threat, addiction to powerful opioid painkillers. This epidemic kills about 4 people each day in the Commonwealth, but you can help by changing the way you think about, talk about, and treat people with addiction. The stigma of drug misuse keeps people from seeking treatment. Words like junkie, addict, and druggie can hurt, damaging self-image and standing in the way of recovery. Addiction is not a choice. It's a chronic disease similar to diabetes, heart disease, and arthritis. Again, this is a program the state put out, and we have joined in on this program. There are forms in the lobby of Town Hall, which any member of the public can come in and sign. We will post it on the wall. We also have social media sites on Facebook as well as Twitter. We're taking pictures of those and we're putting it out there. So we encourage all of you to sign this if you haven't already. Do you want to do that one? Okay. And another event, Robin Houston Bean is hosting, her group rather, Beanstalk, which is Memory of Nick Bean. It is a music festival on Friday, July 15th, right here in Braintree Town Hall from 4 to 9 p.m. It's a music festival featuring Kuwait Grips, Jumpstart, Nova, Below Sea Level, and many more. There will be addiction resources as well as an overdose candlelight vigil right outside Town Hall. For donations or more information, visit beanstalk2016.eventbrite.com. You're also on Facebook under Beanstalk. And that is it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor, and thank you. Thank you, Councilor. And thank you for all your hard work, making sure the announcements and everything get put on Facebook and Twitter. We appreciate that. Councilor Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming this evening. And wave those fans out there, folks. It's hot in here. This is our 16th meeting as a committee since April 10th. Beyond that, there have been several other outside trainings that Councillor Owens has attended and Councillor Hume has attended, as well as I attended the Edward M. Kennedy Forum on drug opiates about a month ago. So all things considered, we are now at about 19 different meetings. I would like to just mention to the committee itself here that I think we're coming to an end, and that we could curtail the meetings themselves and get into the phase of writing the report. I'd like to take that under consideration If anybody feels free to take a motion to move into the reporting phase this evening, that's fine. Otherwise, I'd like you to think about it, unless there's a particular group that you would like to have come in down the road. I have talked with the baseball leagues in town, of which there are 16 or 17. The baseball leagues are committed to participate. Right now is a busy time for them because of baseball playoffs and that it's that time of year for them. So I can only say that we wouldn't be able to bring in the baseball league directors until probably August. But they are very committed to putting policies, age-appropriate policies in place to address this drug epidemic. So with that, I'll turn the meeting back over to the chairman, and away we go.
Thank you, Counselor. Tonight we are fortunate to have some folks from Manat Health, and we have Kim Kroger, and she is the program manager, and Tanya Keating, the prevention specialist. And also in the audience we have Lieutenant Mac Lease, who has been a great help to us in regards to this issue. And with that, I would turn it over to you folks. And tonight we're going to be going through Narcan training. Thanks to Councilor Hume putting this together. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us. It's great to be here. I'm going to start off and give you a little background of what we do at Manat Community Health Center and a little bit about the Narcan, and then Tanya will take over and do the Narcan training we have for set up. So we have some slides just to keep us focused. So just to give you an overview, Manat Community Health Center is a federally qualified health center. We have 5 locations, 3 are in Quincy, 1 is in Hull, and 1's in Taunton. And we provide services from newborns to elders with a lot of specialty programs. So we have a lot of Braintree residents that come to Quincy for their care at the health center. There's just a list here of some of the specialty programs being a health center we offer. The one I'm going to talk about today is our prevention and screening. We have a team of 4 of us who work and focus on outreach, education, and screening for individuals at risk for acquiring HIV, Hep C, STIs, and also who are at risk for overdose. So we're mostly working in this program with people who are actively using. And we work on the South Shore. We work in many towns from Quincy to Norwell in different capacities. Some towns we're doing some street outreach to try and reach people. Some other towns we're going into detoxes and talking with people in early recovery about overdose prevention. We really take a medical approach to substance abuse disorders and all the implications of that. Hepatitis C is on the rise. We're testing people for HIV, Hep C, and STIs, sexually transmitted infections. So we're funded through the Department of Public Health. So working with this population for the last 6 years, we became a pilot program for the Narcan when it became popular in the state. We are the Narcan pilot program. So we focus on providing Narcan and education to the community, both people who are actively using or their family members if they need it. So Narcan comes to people in many different areas. We have the fire and the police and the EMTs, and this is just another level of Narcan access because people who are likely to witness an overdose, and Tanya will go into sort of the steps they take, waiting for the emergency personnel to get there could be, they could administer Narcan and at least start the process earlier. So that's where we really focus our time. And for people who are still using and not ready to stop using, we talk about ways that they can reduce their risk of overdosing, what ways they can keep themselves safer. We teach parents as well how to signs of, overdose in a house. If someone goes into the bathroom too long, you want to check on them, not having locks on doors so you can get access, sort of strategies for both family members and those who use themselves. The detoxes that we go into in drug treatment programs, because that population is very at risk for overdosing, relapsing and then overdosing shortly after. So that's really where we've been spending a lot of our time, and our prevention specialists do that on a daily basis. So this is our staff, Tanya, Lynn, and Nicole. Many have been to many different programs here in Braintree. And I'm not going to go into a lot of statistics. I know you all have that, but everyone knows that the death rates are on the rise, and they just last month released, I don't know if you've presented here, the new data is on the state website of 1,500 deaths already in 2015. And we're looking at just in March alone, 146 deaths, which we're going to far surpass this year. So I'm going to turn it over to Tanya, who does this training for different variations of this training, but you're going to get the full spectrum of what she covers when she does the Narcan training.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tanya Keating. So what we want to do basically first is pretty much know how opioids work, because right now not everyone does know what an opioid is. You want to recognize an opioid overdose, and then if someone is in an overdose, you want to know what to do. So first we want to go over what opioids are. So opioids are a sedative narcotic. They're used for medicine. When used as prescribed, it's a great drug to relieve pain. Unfortunately, though, if people start to abuse the drug, they will actually build a tolerance, and they have to take more and more, and eventually their body is actually going to, once you take too much, repress the urge to breathe. And if someone's in an overdose, that's what will happen. So the difference between opioids and opiates, I wanted to go over. Opiates are the natural. They're the morphine and the codeine. They're the ones that come from the milk of the poppy. So fully synthetic is actually just made in the lab. It's actually able to replicate the milk of the opioid, but it's actually there's no natural ingredients. The semi-synthetic is a mixture of both, and that's where you get your heroin, your Oxycontin, and your oxycodones. So the definition of an overdose is excess of substance leading to the central nervous system and respiratory depression, apnea, unresponsive, and not breathing. So what happens in an opioid overdose, it is a process. So what happens is that you start to breathe, your breathing slows down, and then eventually it will stop. For a while, we actually were hearing people overdose. Sometimes it would take minutes, and for some, even hours. Unfortunately, now with the fentanyl, that's the big thing, we're actually hearing people overdose with the needle still in their arm. And we're hearing that more and more often, unfortunately. So that's the big thing that's going on. So pretty much how do opioids affect your breathing? So what happens is you have opioid receptors. So you're breathing normally, and when you take too much of one drug, what happens is it latches onto all the opioid receptors. Therefore, you're unable to breathe, and there's no oxygen going to the brain, so that's why you stop breathing and go into the overdose.
Very simplistic.
Yes.
Yeah,
so opioid duration chart, people need to realize that not all opioids are as potent as others. Heroin and fentanyl are like the big ones right now, and people need to realize that fentanyl is it's a fast acting, and it's a lot more potent than heroin. So people kind of describe it as crack cocaine as to regular cocaine, as fentanyl is to heroin. Crack and fentanyl are that fast acting, quick response, where heroin and cocaine takes a little bit longer. And people need to realize also like how long the duration. Methadone can stay in you for 32 hours. If someone takes a heavy dose of methadone and they're just going to keep going out, because Narcan, which I will go more in depth with, is only going to last for 30 to 90 minutes. So once that wears off, the person is just going to constantly keep going into another overdose. So what puts people at risk for overdoses? There's a few things. Another thing that we see commonly, especially at the detoxes, we talk to a lot of people, is the mixture of benzos. Benzos is the big thing. Benzos is your Ativan, your Klonopin, anything like Xanax, all those. And that is a very big mixture right now. That slows down your respiratory system, along with alcohol, and even just mixed in something else like cocaine. People like to call themselves chemists and put as much stuff as they possibly can to see how the reaction is going to be. We have a lot of young people who think they're still invincible and that they can do all these and nothing will happen. Changes in tolerance, someone who just came out of detox, they were sober for 7 to 14 days. They try to pick up right where they left off. They still think they have a high tolerance, and unfortunately they don't. Physical health. A lot of people have underlying health issues. They don't realize they have heart problems, heart murmurs, anything like that. If you're constantly using and putting all these toxins inside you, eventually, your health is deteriorating. And once you overdose once, you're prone to just keep overdosing, and that's what we try to let people know. It's just your muscle memory. And also the variation in strength of the street drugs. What you get one week might not be the same that you get the next week. So people need to realize that as well. So what is naloxone, aka Narcan? It's an opioid antagonist. And what happens is you have the opiate receptors to help you breathe. And what it does is Narcan, once administered, it gets absorbed by the mucous membranes, will then actually kick the opioid off the receptors, and then will serve as a temporary barrier so that the person can stop breathing again. Narcan usually works in about 3 minutes, and the reason why is your mucous membranes are like a sponge. It has to take about 3 to 5 minutes for it to absorb, and then it will go onto the receptors. And again, Narcan only works 30 to 90 minutes, so I will go more into depth, but it is crucial to call 911 because there's only going to be so much rescue breathing and so much Narcan you're going to have on you. So Narcan can't be abused, it can't cause an overdose, it's not going to get you high. We've been asked that plenty of times. So it's not going to do any of that. Some people, very, very rare cases, I have heard people getting rashes from when they were in an overdose and someone administered Narcan on them. I guess other people have heard that difficulty breathing, anxiety, but it's rare. Too much Narcan can cause withdrawal symptoms, and this is why we like to do these trainings, because people go into panic mode, and people will have like a bunch of Narcan on them, and instead of calling 911 and rescue breathe, they're actually administering like 4 to 6 doses of Narcan because they're trying to help their friends. Well, that's not going to work right away. It's going to take that 3 to 5 minutes. So when that 3 to 5 minutes, all that Narcan then finally hits you, someone can go into instant withdrawal, which will cause the anxiety, the chills, and all that. So how does naloxone affect an overdose? So what happens is when the opioid is on the receptors, the Narcan will get absorbed by the mucous membranes, it will go onto the receptors, kick the opioid off, and then again it will become a barrier for 30 to 90 minutes. And then the person is able to start getting oxygen back to the brain so they can breathe again. So how do you know if you need Narcan? Well, I'm going to tell you. So we want to tell the difference between really high and overdose. So when someone's really high and an overdose, they both have the pin pupils. That's just a given. But someone who's really high, they're still, you can talk to them. They are arousable. They are nodding, but you can probably get a couple words out of them if you ask them a question. Someone who's in an overdose is not going to respond to anything. The best way to find out if someone's really high or in an overdose is the sternal rub. So it's just bone to bone. These are your knuckles, your sternum. All you have to do is just go up and down a few times. If you do it to yourself right now, it's a nuisance, it hurts. If someone's high, they're going to tell you that you're bothering them. You're pretty much ruining their high. They're going to grunt, they're going to swear, they're going to push you away. Someone in overdose, they're not going to respond to it. Speech is slurred, they have that intoxication, not breathing, they're sleepy, that's what really high is. Overdose, they're pretty much less than 8 times per minute of breathing, or not breathing at all. The worst thing is the death gurgle, and it sounds like it's snoring. That's not a normal thing, so if you hear that, you really need to be aware that that is actually an overdose. It's the body pretty much just like gasping for air. Also, blue lips, blue fingers, lack of oxygen, you start turning blue. So if it's someone's really high, you definitely want to watch them, because someone who's high can a few minutes later then go into an overdose. So you just want to be mindful, walk them around, talk to them. And if someone's in an overdose, you're going to rescue breathe for that person and administer the naloxone. So the environmental clues is you want to recognize the overdose symptoms. The best way, like I said, is the sternum rub. Recognize drug paraphernalia. You'll survey the scene. I mean, if you go see the person go out, you'll know that it's probably an overdose. If you see someone at a park, you look for the drug paraphernalia, the needles, the baggies, the cellophane, the pills, whatever it is, and recognize the drug. So then you could see the need for naloxone. I also want to say, so if you do survey the scene and, you think someone could be in an overdose and you administer the Narcan, it's not going to do anything to them if they don't have a narcotic in their system. So I just want to let you be aware of that. Also, I just want to let you know that it is harmless on pregnant women and also children. Unfortunately, we have heard of getting their hands on it and they have drank it, and it doesn't do anything to them. Also, Narcan does save animals. We heard of once a state trooper's dog found a stash of heroin, he sniffed it, he overdosed, and they used Narcan on him. So it does work on Fluffy. So God forbid if an animal does get your stash. So I just want to let you know that. So if when in doubt, I would just Narcan them, okay? So pretty much we're going to go over more in depth, but you're going to assess the signs. You're going to call 911 before you do anything. Clear the airway and rescue breathe for the person. Administer the Narcan. And then if you have to, you would put that person in the recovery position if you have to leave them. So first thing you want to do is stay calm. Stay calm, because obviously if you're in panic mode, you're not going to be able to help this person, all right? So you're going to call 911. 911, you want to be as specific as possible as to where you are. If you call with a cell phone, it's going to direct you to the state police. If you're a family member, someone that's still actively using in certain towns, I would highly recommend programming your local police to your phone, just so that you have it. Those seconds, minutes are crucial. So just giving you a heads up on that. So that's pretty much it. The second step is you want to actually rescue breathe for this person. You want to get some oxygen, breathe for them. If you can get them on the ground, that is your best bet. Obviously, no two overdoses are ever going to be the same. So, if the person's stuck in a car, lean them back. If they're stuck in the chair, they're too heavy, I don't recommend grabbing their legs and dragging them to the floor. That's going to cause other problems. I would just leave them in the chair. So what you want to do is rescue breathe. You can get the barriers. They have them at CVS. I think they're only like $1 if you don't know the person. However, if it's a family member, I'm sure you're not going to have a problem touching lips to lips. Also, you can lift up someone's shirt so that you can actually have a barrier. And I've heard of other people going like this so that you don't have to touch lips to lips if you don't know the person. So rescue breathing, what you want to do is actually tilt the head back of the person. You're going to pinch their nose, and you're going to give them 2 deep breaths. You want to make sure the chest rises to show that air is actually going in. If the chest doesn't rise, then what you want to do is re-tilt the head, reposition, and try again. All right? Once you notice that the air is actually going in, the chest is rising, you want to give them about 4 to 6 good deep breaths, and that's 1 deep breath about every 5 seconds, just to get the breathing process for them. So next, what you want to do is administer the naloxone. Now, in our kits, I'm going to show you what we have. We have 2 boxes of the Narcan, and we also have 2 what they're called as atomizers. An atomizer is what changes the liquid Narcan into a mist so it can go up each side of the nose. And so in the box, we have a Luer syringe and a 2 milliliter of naloxone, aka Narcan. All right. So the way that you want to set it up is you're going to take the top part of the syringe. You'll take the atomizer out of the bag, and you just want to put it on, twist it on so it's nice and straight. All right. So that's how it will look like. And then what you want to do is pop off the yellow cap, and you're going to pop off the purple. So all you got to think is colors. You're removing all the colors. And then what you do is you just push and twist, and then you do half up one side, half up the other. Now, if there's trauma to one side,
This is water, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah.
It's not medication.
So if you see it dribbling out of one side, someone might have a deviated septum trauma to the nose, you can stick the whole thing up the other side. That's not a problem. They tell you do half and half because it will get absorbed by the mucous membranes a little bit quicker, but it's fine to just do the whole thing up one side. So after you administer your first dose of Narcan, you do want to step back for a second. The reason why is sometimes when people come out of overdoses, they're not the happiest. 1 minute they're high, the next minute you're hovering over them. They have no idea what's going on. So what you want to do is just step back. Within a couple seconds, if they're still unresponsive, not breathing, you want to breathe for this person for about 3 to 5 minutes to let the Narcan actually go to the receptor, all right, the receptors. After the 3 to 5 minutes, you will actually use the same atomizer since it's already set up, use the same syringe. All you have to do is just twist off the Narcan, naloxone, and then open up the other box, pop off the purple top, and then push and twist again, half up one side, half up the other, or completely up one side. And then again, after you administer, continue rescue breathing. Hopefully by after the second dose, the first responders are there, but if not, then continue rescue breathing. So that's pretty much just how you administer it. Why do they do it through this way? The intranasal, well, it's easy. It's tons of mucous membranes in the nose so that it gets absorbed rather quickly. And the intramuscular requires shots, which you don't have to do, and it's pretty painless. So naloxone storage, you want to have it at room temperature, all right? So about 59 to 86 degrees. And the reason why is if it's too cold, it will start to freeze, therefore you won't be able to use it. And if it's too hot, it will start to evaporate, therefore you'll not be able to have that much, you'll lose the potency. So don't ever store it in the car. I know a lot of people I just want to, God forbid if someone falls on the ground, I can save them. You really don't want to because, like I said, it's going to lose the potency. If it's 80 outside, it's like 120 in your car. So women, I have mine in my purse. Guys, if you want to get like a hard eyeglass container, you can always put it in that. I've heard of toothbrush holders they've put in as well. Just a hard case. And also be mindful of the expiration date. It shows it on the side of the box. If that's all you have is an expired Narcan, I highly recommend using it. We've heard of people actually saving other people with expired Narcan. So just some of the key things to remember. The most important thing is that person needs oxygen. So whether through their own or your rescue breathing, that's what they really need. Narcan, again, can take the 3 to 5 minutes because it has to absorb by the mucous membranes. And that's why it takes a little while. And if no change, administer another dose and continue to breathe for them. And again, it's only going to last the 30 to 90 minutes. And like I said before on the charts, a lot of the narcotics last a lot longer in the system. So once this wears off, it can latch right back onto the receptors. Crucial to call 911. And once the Narcan does kick in, the person could immediately come off the high. It does happen, but lately, because like I said, the fentanyl, it's more of like a groggy state. That's what happens to the person. So another way you can administer the Narcan is if someone was to fall face forward, they break their nose. We have heard of people saving other people by putting this up the rectum. If a loved one is overdosed on the ground and they fall face forward, people have done it. So all you have to do is just pretty much administer, just go a little bit and then just spray so that it gets administered. And there's a lot of mucous membranes, so it will get absorbed. Recovery position, if at any time you do have to leave the person, you do want to put them in the recovery position. So one leg over the other, hands to the side, head tilted to the side. So if they were to vomit, they will throw up on the ground as opposed to choke and die on their vomit. There's other ways to administer Narcan. There's the new one, which is going to be the new thing. Our naloxone is 0.2, so you get 2 of them, so that's 0.4. These ones alone are 0.4, and so if you get 2 of them, it's 0.8. I can't open this because this is actually, it's not, yeah, it is medication. So what you do is you would just pop off the top, and you want to make sure that it's actually at the person's nose, because as soon as you push the button, it just goes right up. You can't just stop it at any time, so that's why you got to be careful. The other way is the intramuscular, which is the one that talks to you. It's kind of like an EpiPen. You just got to put it on the outer thigh. It's also, I believe is it 0.2 or 0.4? I can't remember. I think it's 0.2. So it's just more condensed. So it takes a little bit longer to get through the whole system, but it works as well.
Then the other way is a syringe IM injection that can be gotten at a pharmacy through a vial.
So we make copies of these if anyone wants any, but where you can actually get Narcan in Braintree, Rite Aid, Blue Hills Pharmacy. There are no Walgreens in Braintree, so the surrounded towns, the one in Weymouth, Holbrook, and Quincy, they have a stand-in order. And CVS on Washington Street in Weymouth, Washington Street in Braintree, I apologize, and Quincy Shore Drive. Pretty much all Walgreens in Massachusetts, they have a stand-in order. They've had it a little bit longer than other pharmacies, so they're pretty good to just walk in. You know, you don't need a prescription. You can actually walk in and use your copay with your insurance. We have a lot of people with Mass Health, so it's usually about $365 in order to get the Narcan.
So Narcan, just to clarify, is a prescription. So anyone can go to their own doctor and get a prescription, and it's covered by your insurance. You don't have to be the one to have it used on you. It's very different than other medicine you pick up with your insurance. But state law mandates the pharmacies have to dispense it. So it is available, but to make easier access, so you don't have to go to your doctor, the state has supplied standing orders at the CVS's and Walgreens throughout the state. And then some smaller pharmacies have gotten standing orders from other physicians. Like we have a pharmacy at one of our health centers, Eaton's Pharmacy, and then our doctor wrote a standing order there. So anyone in the community, whether they're a patient or not, can walk into the pharmacy and access it. The pharmacists are supposed to do a training on how to use it. We've gotten mixed reviews. So what we always like to stress is the importance of there should be no barrier to access Narcan. So either for people who have insurance, it can go to a pharmacy, that's great. If people don't have insurance or they are having trouble with pharmacies, they can call us and we can provide some kits. And then Learn to Cope meetings all have a trainer at their meetings. It's a parent support group, and they have trainers there that can give out Narcan. So Narcan is fully available to the community, and we want to be sure that everyone has access to it. But I think Tanya did a great job going through this whole training and understanding how to use it and how it actually works. Because the rescue breathing that Tanya talked about is really important. A lot of people just skip. They just want to go for the Narcan, get that. But the breathing is so essential. Our team actually responded to an overdose, and we saw the response just with the rescue breathing. And so that's an important step, and we really try and stress that to people who are responding. And calling 911. Too often in our work we hear, oh, I don't want to get arrested, I don't want to get in trouble, I don't want to get kicked out of my housing, I don't want my kids taken away. Those are some legitimate fears, but there's ways, and we teach people strategies on how to start the Narcan and leave the scene if they have to after they call 911 so that person can't get. We really want to be sure that everyone has access and everyone has the education that goes along with it. So we're happy to be here. And I think that sort of summarizes. I would love some questions if you have them.
That was a great presentation. We'll start with Councilor Hume.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kim and Tanya, thank you so much for being here. This is being televised for people at home, so thank you so much to BCAM for covering all of our meetings, but this one as well, so we can educate the people at home, and it will play over, and for the press for being here too. It's such an important subject. Couple questions for you. So you call 911 first, then start the rescue breathing, then Narcan. Now, once you administer Narcan, do you need to continue the rescue breathing, or do you wait and see what happens?
So you administer the first dose of Narcan, step back for a second to see if any response. If not, then what you want to do is continue rescue breathing for the 3 to 5 minutes to let that first dose of Narcan get absorbed by the mucous membranes to get onto the receptors.
Okay.
And then after the 3 to 5 minutes, you will have 2 doses, so then you would just administer the second dose.
Okay.
So you keep sort of alternating until emergency personnel get there.
Okay.
Or you run out of Narcan, then you just continue to rescue breathe.
Okay. Recovery position, you answered some of them. Kills the opioid. The PowerPoint presentation, could we get that in an electronic version? And would you mind if we share it on our social media? Is that?
I think that would
Okay.
be okay. I
Okay.
can check.
Okay. I thought
on
I had
that.
another
I've
one. but I
also
can't
just put
remember.
up our phone number.
Okay.
This number goes directly to one of our prevention specialists, Tanya, or one of the other two, that can meet people wherever they are. If they need Narcan, they can come to Braintree. We've done trainings at local Dunkin' Donuts or wherever people are at to make it easy. Or they can come to our health center and get access to it, too.
All right, great. That was it for me for right now. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Councilman Clifford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tanya and Kim, thank you. Because this is being televised right now, can I put you on the spot, Tanya?
Sure.
And could you very deliberately go through putting the Narcan together?
Sure.
People
That
at
camera working?
they'll get to you.
They'll get to me. Okay.
Because lots of people have it at home,
Yes.
and they've been through training once maybe.
It's a good refresher.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so you have what's called the atomizer, and that changes the liquid Narcan into the mist. So you definitely want to take the atomizer out of the bag. It rips on the side. It took me like 4 or 5 times to realize it does that. And then what you want to do is take the Narcan and the Lewis syringe out of the box. So in each of the boxes comes the Lewis syringe and the 2 milliliter of naloxone,
Just
aka
hold them up there
Narcan.
for a second.
Sure.
Hold them both up so that
Good.
Bill will get them.
And the atomizer. So you get all 3 of these, all right? So what you want to do is take the top part off the syringe, and once this is out of the bag, you actually just, while you're cool, calm, and collected, this is the best way. You want it on nice and straight. And actually, you can have yours pre-assembled like this. This is how I already have mine, and I just have it in my box, and I have it in my purse. And this is really the best way, because right now you want this on straight, because in the event of an overdose, people do go into panic mode, and if this isn't on straight, it's going to dribble out, and therefore it won't work. So in the event, if you have this pre-assembled, all you have to do is just think the colors. You'll pop off the yellow, pop off the purple, and then you're just going to push and twist, and then half up one side, half up the other. Okay? Sorry. Got away.
We can also pass around the kits to let you try as well.
Right.
And the reason why you don't want to take the purple top off, obviously, until the event of an overdose is it is medication. It will start to evaporate. And you don't want to take the bottom part off of the syringe because it is a needle. And the thing is, if something gets stuck in it, it's not going to work. So I don't recommend taking those off until the event of the overdose. So, all 3.
Thank you,
Fair
good point. And
You're
you,
very welcome.
and you gave us, everyone, a tip
Yes.
to have
And-
it partially assembled.
Yeah. So partially assembled, like she was referring to, we use eyeglass cases to carry and I have mine marked in my bag, but it is all ready to go, mouth guard, and then it's all pre-assembled except for the medication. So, and eyeglass cases work really well to keep it from breaking.
Thank you.
So.
Now, you also mentioned that the pharmacies are obligated to carry it by the state. We attended a state, Norfolk County, Michael Morrissey's
Yes, Michael,
monthly
yep.
meeting
Mm-hmm.
last 2 weeks ago, I guess. And they did some undercover work going into the pharmacies and found mixed results.
Yes.
So maybe, is it a caution to kind of call your pharmacy to ask them, 1, do you have it in stock?
Yeah.
And 2, do you know how to train it?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I can foresee people going in and
Yes,
And
and people get told all sorts of things, and if they're not savvy or just are too embarrassed to ask for more, we've had pharmacists yell, "Does anyone have any Narcan that overdosed?" And the person standing at the counter is
That's
mortified.
right.
So it is the ones on the list we gave. We have contacted already and said we were going to be speaking tonight, and we give out this list. The ones we give out on our list, we do spot check. But there are always new pharmacists, and so I would also encourage people, if they go to a pharmacy and they get a questionable look, ask to speak with the manager. That's usually our supervisor, because they usually know. We've been luckier with that level. The person at the desk doesn't always know. But yes, it is shaky. It's variable. I think our area is better than some of the places I've heard out in Western Massachusetts have been less. But yes, or please call us. I mean, we can.
Well, and there's the other piece. Learning to Cope also instructs, and can they also provide
Yes.
if people don't have insurance?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Learn to
for those
Cope.
of you who are at home, Learning to Cope is a great asset. And as well as Manette County Community Health Center. So if you don't have health insurance and you want to be trained and you need it because of your particular situation, please call Learning to Cope or Manette
Manic Community Health Center.
Community Health Center. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have. Thanks so much for coming, and
Welcome. Thank you.
and I hope we have some people here that are. I'm going to go back upstairs and get retrained with you.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll go up. Want to go up now and or wait?
Just got a few more.
A few minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think for the most part I am good. I appreciate both of you coming. I know I've seen the presentation the other times that you've done it in Braintree, and you guys are always willing to help us, and you've provided some great tips. I think it's very important that you pointed out that it be pre-assembled. I mean, we all know during any medical emergency or any sort of event, there's a level of panic, especially if it's somebody that's close to you, and your hands are trembling and you're not putting it on right, and you start to freak out. So the steps that you walk us through, calling 911 first, is crucially important. Pre-assembled, I think those things are very important. I appreciate you doing this demonstration. Just to be clear, I just want to make sure if somebody needs Narcan, they can go to Manic Community Health, right, and the pharmacy without prescription.
Right.
Correct. And they can also get it by prescription from their doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's a little. Then they go to the pharmacy. Well, they go to the pharmacy then to fill it, but it'd be easier. The one nice thing about if you end up using your insurance, this new one that just came out a few months ago, it's like a spray, and there's no assembling. It's tricky because if you push it too soon, you lose the medication if you don't push it after you get it up in someone's nostril. But this is available with insurance. Some insurances, it's only, for Mass Health, it's only $365. I ran my insurance, it was $90. It was on the higher tier. The insurances are going to start to come down, but if you're more comfortable with this administration, this is only available in the pharmacies. We just give out the nasal sprays, which are just as effective. It's just a different mode, and so I just wanted to. And the auto injectables are very expensive. So
just out of curiosity, does it say on the package pretty clearly about storage in cars? Because I know people assume they carry it on them.
Yeah.
I mean, even our police cruisers, it's taken in and out on every shift. It's not stored, in the trunk. It's stored in a cool, specific spot within the cruiser. So people don't often realize that.
Yeah, it does say it on the box. If people read the fine print on the box, it is there, and we always make sure we tell people.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, as we say, we've heard expired medication works as well. It still may work. It just may be less effective. So, really. And the expiration date, they're usually good for about 1.5 years when we give them out, and I think it's pretty much similar in pharmacies. So you just want to be mindful when that time is up if you haven't used it.
Very good. Thank you both for coming.
You're welcome.
Council
And we'd also be happy, you mentioned we've done trainings in Braintree before. If there's any groups that want to learn more, we were at the youth center on a Sunday evening last month, I think, and we're going to be July 15th, right, is the date for that. We'll be at that event as well with staff who can talk with people. So we're happy to participate in any of your initiatives.
Excellent. Councilor Powers?
Quick question. When you say 385, is that $385?
No.
Oh, $3.85.
$3.85.
Okay.
65.
Yeah, I think it's 360.
Okay, I was getting, because
Oh, sorry.
you said 90 with your insurance, $90.
So for my private insurance happened to be the copay would be $90 for mine, but if you're Mass Health, it's $365.
Okay, good.
Is what that prescription rate is. Every insurance company has a different tier for their this medication. We hope it's going to come down for all insurances.
I would hope so, given that if we're being inhuman and purely looking at numbers,
Yes.
it's more cost effective to treat someone that has been brought out of an overdose than the after effects.
Exactly.
Just like my mother, who's a breast cancer survivor, it's a lot more successful treating women who are in stage 1 than stage 4. That's why we should.
Really
it's a whole other issue, but
Yeah.
okay. So 385 on Mass Health, and then
Yeah.
a variable. Okay,
It's
thank you.
It's variable with.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. As far as, I think one of the important pieces of information is when we looked at the amount of time that the drugs stay in people's system. And I think that, some people believe that someone gets Narcan and they, they're better and off they go. And I don't think, I think there's a lot of misinformation in regards to what happens after someone is brought back through Narcan and rescue breathing. And the fact that you have illustrated, and I think when we put it on our Facebook site as well, the number of hours a lot of these drugs stay in the system and will continue to overdose the person if they don't get medical help. I think also at one previous meeting, someone had brought up rescue breathing. And it's funny because I didn't realize that, and it might have been Lieutenant McAleese when they came in, but how they had, basically said that if you don't have Narcan, do rescue breathing. Call 911, do rescue breathing. And, the bottom line is that the person's not getting oxygen. And if you give the person oxygen, then there's a much greater chance of survival if you don't have the Narcan. So I think, I don't know what percentage of people are going to have Narcan out there. I know I have it only because we've been trained by you. And I do keep it at my cleaners, and it gets kind of hot in there, so I guess I'll have to put it somewhere cooler. But yeah. But I will say that the information is right on point, and your resource is great. And I hope everybody that's watching this realizes that they can reach out to you as well as us in trying to get Narcan and helping their loved ones. What we'll be doing is we'll be doing some one-on-one stuff upstairs. So if anyone that's here wants to go up and do some one-on-one training and discussion as well, it'll be off-camera upstairs, and the council as well will be doing that. So as far as the public session goes, if there are any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to, I think this is a good opportunity to remind folks at home of the Good Samaritan law, that if somebody is, if they're at an overdose or they see somebody overdosing or with somebody who's at an overdose or having an overdose, the law does protect you. And, always call 911, always report that overdose. You will not be charged with possession because you did the right thing and called when somebody needed help. So the law does protect you if you are with somebody who is overdosing, if you call 911 and report that. I think that's really, really important.
It's a very important law, and it's really important that people know about that. We do caution there are some exceptions to that law, and that if there's a warrant, each police force in different towns work differently. Some won't look for the warrants and will turn their backs on that, but we do hear about reports. So we do let people know that, Narcan and then also if there's children present,
Firearms.
they will be filed on. And then the other is subsidized housing is an issue. Someone could potentially lose their housing. So these are things we're mindful of, and we like to tell people about the Good Samaritan law because it does protect, but we also want to protect the people that it would affect and help them think about strategies ahead of time so they can rescue someone and just not leave them on the side of the road or throw them outside in the parking lot and step away and hope someone finds them. So we really want people to respond properly in a way that protects themselves as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as well, all of our public safety, police, fire, EMTs have Narcan,
Yes.
as well as our school nurses. We did our school department, as my counselor reminded me, Counselor Human reminded me, that our school department is fully engaged, and the athletic director as well as school nurses. So we take this matter very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, we really recommend that Narcan is really kept in any emergency boxes in any state or facilities, and in your home emergency box. That if there's someone you need, it's just as important as an EpiPen or nowadays. Unfortunately, nowadays.
Well, I thank you for the presentation, and we will be heading upstairs if there's any further comments. Yep, Councilor Hume.
Kim, on the comment about keeping it in an emergency box, say it's sports like right now it's baseball. It's cooling down, but we have parks programs throughout the summer. If councils or whoever were to carry this in the future, can they have it in a box at the playground, or how do they need to store that if they're out in the sun all day?
For a short period of time, I think that's fine. I would.
I mean, it might start to lose a little bit of potency, but I mean, if you're putting it back inside after like an hour or two, I mean, I can't. You're not having it in the sun all day, every day.
Okay, thank you.
You said it was good up to 86 degrees,
86
right? So I
degrees,
mean, if you have it in the shade, it's probably going to be safe.
Yeah.
And humidity doesn't really affect it, right? It's
No.
just heat,
No,
right?
it's the heat.
Yes.
So, because that's what's really killing us is the humidity today. It's probably like 70 degrees
70
right now and 75% humidity. But anyway, is there any further discussion? If there is none, we will be having our partnership. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we go to the end, what was I thinking? Sorry. Members of the public, come on
I
up.
just wanted to say that Harvard Vanguard isn't on the list, and we checked with them. So it is available, and they have a standing prescription, so you can go there. And the other two CVS's, it's also available. I would suggest calling first because we did this throughout the town and had difficulties at some of our pharmacies. The one I had the most success with was the Grove Street CVS. The Target, which is run by CVS, also have it, but they don't have it in stock. You need to call first. So, it's probably your best bet. If you're going to go through the pharmacy, call ahead, just because we went through so many different situations with them. But we did have good success at Blue Hills Pharmacy on the first shot and Harvard Vanguard.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else from the public? All right. Sorry about that. Yes. So we have a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.